Good afternoon to everyone and good afternoon to all those who have joined us online. So friends, see, this year's budget has been presented in two parts. The first part deals with a vision, whereas the second part deals with where the expenditure will go and from where the revenue will come from. So what we will do in the class is we will focus a lot on part A of the budget, because part A of the budget talks about Saptarishi. Have you heard about that? The 7 visions that will help in guiding India over the next 25 years, that is the Amrit Kaal. Okay, so there is where our focus will be, because for this scheme this much money has been allocated, or for this tax this is the rate. That is not so important as far as the examination is concerned. So we will have two documents, one that we will deal in the class and one which will be given to you people. So one which will be distributed to you people will also have the detailed writings of the tax rates, where, which scheme, how much money has been given, just for the sake of completion of your notes, right? Whereas this one will be mostly dominated by pictures, slides that I've taken from PIB, correct? So that is an authoritative source from where we will learn about the budget. So the thing that you will get will be everything this plus something, plus some written words, right? So I'm not going to focus more on the writings, because you know that numbers and figures are not so important as far as the examination is concerned, especially the civil services examination. In PSC examination, there can be some questions related to the numbers and figures as well. But here, if there is a question with respect to numbers and figures, it would be more with respect to trends. Like say, for example, for the last 5 years, the expenditure on agriculture has constantly increased. That could be statement number 1. Statement number 2, India spends more on industries than on services. Do you understand that? So these kind of statements would be mostly the statements that you may expect in the examination, not like this, that Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, to this how much money has been allocated. 22,400 crores, 22,300 crores, ऐसे नहीं आने. ठीक है, so UPSC is not an examination of that type. So relax yourselves as far as data and figures is concerned, be it from the survey or from the budget. Mostly you see that budget से उम्मीद है कि 3 क्वेश्चन आएंगे, 2 या 3 क्वेश्चन आएंगे, ठीक है. और ये 2-3 क्वेश्चन जो होंगे ये मोस्टली पार्ट ए से आने वाले हैं बजट के, which is the vision document. Got it? So more focus should be on part A and the Saptarishi, the 7 vision that we need to guide the country into the Amrit Kaal, so that we achieve the targets of Amrit Kaal. So there is where we will be focusing in this class as well, right? Other things like what is the fiscal deficit scenario, what is the direct tax collection scenario, what is indirect tax collection scenario, where is the rupee right now, all those kind of things. We will see that also in the class, but through slides. Got it? So if you look at these slides, that would be enough, but just for the sake of completion of your notes, you will also have some additional matter as far as part 2 is concerned of the budget, right? Part A or first part, as far as that is concerned, we'll be covering everything in the class. Okay, so without any delay, let's get started and let's pick the budget. By the way, budget is an estimate document. Do you understand that? It is for the ensuing year. It means the next upcoming financial year. So the survey was 2022-23, whereas the budget will be 2023-24. So that's why in budget you have 3 estimates actually. The first one is actual estimate, the second one is revised estimate, and the third one is budgetary estimate. Actual estimate is for the previous financial year, because that's already complete. Now we have actual data with respect to revenue, expenditure, etc. So that is actual estimate. A revised estimate is for the ongoing financial year, because this financial year's budget was presented at the early part of this financial year. So how the things would be at the end of the financial year, we cannot comprehend everything at point 0. Therefore, there is a revised estimate of the present financial year and a budgetary estimate of the upcoming financial year. Like say, for example, if we are in the financial year 2022-23, then the budget will have 3 figures: the actual data of 2021-22, the revised data of 2022-2023, because that's the present year, financial year, and the budgetary estimates of 2023-2024. Got it? And the budget also has data with respect to deficits, macroeconomic indicators also related to these 3 financial years, mostly for comparison. One, the year that has just been completed, the ongoing year, and the upcoming year. So this budget is budget 2023-24. Got it? So look here, ज़्यादा मुश्किल है नहीं इसमें कुछ. So we'll start with the statement that was made by the Honorable Finance Minister. She said, this budget hopes to build on the foundation laid in the previous budget and the blueprint drawn for India at 100. It means when India will achieve 100 years of independence, at that time where we want the country to be, economically speaking. So we have developed a blueprint that is nothing but the Amrit Kal plan, right? Or we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So you understand that that Amrit Kal period becomes very important for us, because that is the time period when we are going to have several factors in our favor. One important factor would be the demographic dividend. The second important factor would be infrastructure at that time would be relatively better. And third is the rising aspirational middle class group, because middle class provides market. Do you understand that? Because middle class has purchasing power, and that's why it is one of an enabler for growth. That's why you see all the government schemes, they are now also focusing on the middle class. When we were a low income group, then government schemes mostly targeted poverty alleviation. But now it is targeting aspirations also, because middle class is the most aspirational class. Do you understand that? Middle class wants to leave the middle class category, but is also risk averse. Why? Because it do not want to fall into the lower income bracket. That's why middle class is very aspirational, but at the same time, it does not want to take a lot of risks. That is where the role of state becomes important, because the state provides cushion to the middle class. Like say, for example, those who have established MSMEs. See, the people who are working in MSMEs are mostly from the middle class. Do you understand that? Now, ECLGS is a kind of state intervention that boosts confidence of those who are running the MSMEs and those who are working in the MSMEs. It means it is impacting the business behavior and the consumer behavior of a large scale audience, which is the middle class. Do you get that? So if you cater to the needs of middle class, you give a growth propulsion to the economy. So look here, this is what the Honorable Finance Minister has said. She said that we are trying to build on what we have already created in the past budgets, and we are looking towards that scenario where India will be enjoying all these benefits. Do you get that? Now, if you look here, the Union Budget for financial year 2023-24 aims to further strengthen India's economic status in the 75th year of India's independence. The world has recognized the Indian economy as the bright star, or the shining star, or Indian economy is in the sweet spot, whatever you want to say, with its growth estimated at 7%, which is highest among all the major economies of the world. Now, there could be an economy which is growing at 17%, but that could be because of a very low base. Do you understand that? So, of all the major economies means what? Mostly the G20. Do you understand that? So, G20 में जितने हैं, कहीं पे लिख लो चाहो तो, major economies equals to G20 countries. Major economies equals to G20 countries. So of all the G20 nations, you see that India's growth prospects are best. It is expected that India will grow at 7%. That's what the budget is claiming. But the survey claimed something between 6.5 to 7. It means now you understand why I told you that it is important to understand the survey to understand the budget. Correct? Now, the vision of Amrit Kal articulated in the Union Budget, it is centered around three core themes. First is opportunities for citizens, especially focusing on the youth, growth and job creation, that is for inclusive development, strong and stable macroeconomic environment. Again, see, I have tried that more of the budget you read and learn through slides. Do you understand that? Because pictures stay for a longer period in your mind. So, iska bhi ek picture hum dekh sakte hain. Vision for Amrit Kal, the three important things around which this budget is oriented: opportunities for citizens and focus on youth. Second, growth in job creation. And third, strong and stable macroeconomic environment. Now let's start with this one, opportunities for citizens with focus on youth. What kind of opportunities are we talking about for citizens? What do you think? What kind of opportunities citizens require? Socho. Economic opportunities mostly. You understand that? Because this is an economic document. So here we are mostly focusing on economic opportunities. Now, economic opportunities not only seeking job, but economic opportunities is also like, say, for example, investment opportunities, entrepreneurial opportunities, all kinds of opportunities. And where the focus is of all the citizens, youth. Why? Why? Because we are going to enjoy the dividends of demographics in the next 25 years, because that's the Amrit Kal. Got it? Second is growth in job creation. Obviously, you can understand the first and the second are interlinked. If you give a push to entrepreneurial skill, automatically you encourage job creation, especially like, say, for example, agri startups. Do you understand that? They would create a lot of unskilled, semi-skilled jobs. Job creation, why is it important? Job creation is important because of two things. First, it ensures that the growth is inclusive in nature, because an inclusive growth is one which is characterized by job creation. If there is no job creation, you cannot call that growth as inclusive. Secondly, is when there is job creation, obviously there would be other fundamentals of economy that will also improve. Like, say, for example, when people will get job, they will get income. So that will improve the overall purchasing power of the consumers. Secondly, people will also save. As people will save, you know, saving money is what goes into investment. So that will give a fillip to capital expenditure or capex formation. So job, when you create job, you initiate a cycle of good things. Do you understand that? Like, say, for example, the savings rate go up, the purchasing power improves, the investment rate goes up, all these kind of things, apart from the overall improvement in the sentiments of the people with respect to the economy. Because when there are more jobs, you can understand, it means that the labor pool also gets encouraged by the economic scenario, and hence they also start working on their skill development. Because when there is job, then you want to enrich your skills so that you can improve your income. Do you understand that? And that is the case here that the budget is batting for. It is saying that we will create jobs, but at the same time we will also look for opportunities for citizens. See, another way of creating jobs is government creating jobs. You understand that? And you know that, can government give jobs to everyone in the country? You tell me. Even if government wishes to, government does not have the money. सारा फॉरेक्स रिजर्व खत्म हो जाएगा, अगर सबको जॉब दे दिया, सारा फॉरेक्स रिजर्व खत्म हो जाएगा एक महीने में सबकी सैलरी में. सोच लो आप. So it's not possible, right? So what is important is government creates an environment where people not only become job seekers but also job creators. Do you understand that? That is what is the objective. And strong and stable macroeconomic environment. Strong and stable. These are two keywords. What is strong? Strong is one which is in favor of India. Stable is one which remains where it is as far as the next 25 years is concerned. Macroeconomic environment, it means we need to focus on our growth, GDP, we need to focus on inflation, we need to focus on the trade scenario, we need to focus on currency depreciation, we need to focus on fiscal deficit, all those kind of things. But the three important macroeconomic variables are, always keep in mind, they are growth, fiscal deficit and inflation. Do you understand that? And all of them are linked, because say, for example, if there is less growth, then there will be deficit. If there is less growth, there will be inflation. If there is deficit, there will be borrowing. If there is borrowing or printing of money, there will be inflation. Do you understand that? So everything is linked to each other. तो ये बात समझ में आ गई आपको? There are three important core areas around which the budget is woven. और यही हो सकता है आपके options आ जाए question में. Opportunities for citizens with focus on youth, growth in job creation, strong and stable macroeconomic environment. Now, look here. The budget adopts the following 7 priorities. They complement each other and act as Saptarishi, guiding us through the Amrit Kal. So these are the 7 areas where the budget is focusing. और ये part A है आपके budget का. Inclusive development, reaching the last mile, infrastructure and investment, unleashing the potential, green growth, youth power, financial sector. अब चलो इसको एक समरी समझ लेते हैं एक एक स्टेटमेंट में कि ये सारी चीजें हैं क्या. इंक्लूसिव डेवलपमेंट, नॉट इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ. What is development? Development is a qualitative thing, whereas growth is a quantitative thing. See, development is very difficult to define. It's like good governance definition. But to understand development in a layman's way, you can say development is everything that constitutes in improving the quality of life. That is development. Do you understand that? Now, development may have several arenas: economic arena, social arena. We all talk about social development, economic development, all those kind of things. Development is something that improves your quality of life, standard of life, or development is something that broadens your choice basket, or development is something that empowers you. Do you understand that? That is development. So we are talking about inclusive development. Inclusive development means we want to create an environment of development where nobody is left from that basket of development. It means that we will ensure that the women develop, the Divyangs develop, the transgenders develop, every section of the society develop, and all those who are in different income groups, they also develop. So it is one which is focusing on all sectors, all genders, all ages. ये बात याद रखना. That is inclusive development and focusing with job creation and opportunity creation. ये दोनों बातें याद रखना. इससे पहले सिर्फ बात होती थी job creation की, लेकिन हमको अब साथ साथ क्या और बोलना पड़ेगा? Opportunity creation. Clear? Reaching the last mile. Now, this is not always geographic mile. It could be geographic mile, but last mile means the person who is standing at the margins. We want to reach that person. Now, that can be with respect to, say, food distribution. That could be with respect to, say, financial inclusion. That could be with respect to infrastructure accessibility, power accessibility. That could be with respect to bank credit, anything. So we want to reach to the person who is standing at the last mile. It means who is at the margins of any section of population or any person in any income group. Infrastructure and investment. You know that you create infrastructure, then you encourage investment, and by investing you further improve infrastructure. Do you get that? So when there is infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, it means physical, social, digital. And also there is one more infrastructure, which is structural infrastructure. Do you understand that? The point here to be noted is that once you create the infrastructure in the system, then you develop the sentiment. देखो, economy सब कुछ जो है वो चलता है सिर्फ सेंटिमेंट से. अगर आपको अच्छा लग रहा है कि नहीं मेरे को ये इकोनॉमी पसंद आ रही है, then you will invest by default. लेकिन अगर आपको ऐसा लग रहा है that you are रिस्क अवर्स, जैसे आपको लगता है कि सॉवरेन डेट डिफॉल्ट हो जाएगा कभी किसी दिन, या कोई सिविल वॉर हो जाएगी कंट्री में, देन चाहे इन्वेस्टमेंट कर लो, कुछ भी कर लो, टैक्स हॉलिडे दे दो, कैपेक्स कर लो, people will not get attracted. See, you saw the stock markets rising after 2014. What is the reason? What is the reason of improvement of sentiments in India after 2014? Why 2014 is a landmark year? Well, do not read political signals in it, but try to understand it economically. For the first time in nearly 30 years, we have a government which is majority government. Do you understand that? That is the reason. Sentiment बदल गया ना एकदम से, क्योंकि जब मिली जुली सरकार होती है तो आपको पता है it's a coalition government. Any party which is unhappy with the policy can withdraw support from the government and the government may lose power. So those who are making business decisions, investment decisions, production decisions, all those, they will be always fearful of this fact. Do you understand that? And when the government comes up with some offer, some new policy, they will not respond immediately. Rather, they will wait and watch. They will play the waiting game. They will see that how other parties are reacting in a coalition government or in minority government. Do you understand that? How NDA 1 or UPA 1 and 2 were. They were all minority governments, right? They were not brute majority government. But since the Rajiv Gandhi government, Modi government is the only government which is having a full majority. Do you understand that? So you like the policies, you dislike the policies, whatever be the case, but you are sure that the policy is going to remain. It will be withdrawn only when the government decides to do it, like in the case of farm bills. You understand that? Otherwise, the policy is here to stay, and that improves sentiments. And that is one of the biggest reasons why USA has performed so well economically, because USA has only two parties, and most of the times you see that the party which is in power comes with a brute majority there, and that's why its policies also remain stable. That's why you see even at the state level now, at the regional parties, whichever party is winning, the people are returning the mandate in this way that they give full majority towards one party so that they can take decisions. All across the length and breadth of the country, you can see the same pattern being followed even at the regional. Do you understand that? So infrastructure and investment, that is important. But for infrastructure, see, infrastructure projects have long gestation period. Do you understand that? It means it cannot be built overnight. देखो मेट्रो अभी भी बन ही रहा है, ठीक है, कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ है वो पूरी तरीके से. It started in 2002 and we are in 2023. So you can understand, still the metro is work in progress. It is not complete. So it means infrastructure has long gestation period, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. तो उसके लिए जो गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर करना चाहती है वो इनिशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट इतना बड़ा होना चाहिए कि वो एक कॉन्फिडेंस जगा दे सबके मन में कि हाँ ये होने वाला है, भारत माला होने वाला है, सागर माला होने वाला है. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ यू जस्ट डिक्लेयर द स्कीम एंड देन यू डोंट डू एनीथिंग. Whatever you want to do, you need funds. And you know that only when a government has full majority, when it will borrow from the market will also be willing to lend it. The third is unleashing the potential. Now, what kind of potential are we talking here? Again, economic potential of the country. Now, there is potential in the public sector. Now, think of something like the national monetization pipeline. Through that, we can unleash the potential in the public sector. Private sector has potential. How can we reap that potential? First, by improving the sentiments, by doing capex and doing crowding in. And as there is crowding in, there is the chance of unleashing that potential as well. Then there is potential in households as well. Like say, for example, households' potential to save, households' potential to diversify their assets. Like say, for example, what is the traditional approach in an average Indian family? The traditional approach is you get, suppose, X amount of money as your income. And mostly if it's a salaried household, then you can understand the income is also fixed. तो उसमें क्या होता है? First you take a chunk out of it, that is to meet your day-to-day expenditure. It means you want to pay your bills. That may include sophisticated bills like, say, for example, EMIs for home, or simple bills like grocery bills. ये एक बार हो गया. Then what people do? Generally, they go to banks, they open a saving bank account and they put the money in the saving bank account, or they purchase gold. Do you understand that? That's the behavior of an average Indian person. And across genders. ऐसा होता है, even men, they purchase gold. Why? Because, see, purchasing gold as such is not bad. Do you understand that? Because you are diversifying your asset allocations. But purchasing only gold, and that to bullion, is not good. Why? कि मतलब आपने देखे वो जो केक्स होते हैं गोल्ड के या बिस्किट्स होते हैं, वो केक तो खैर बहुत बड़ा हो जाता है तो वो जमा करके लोग रख देते हैं इन्वेस्टमेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. आपने समझ लो 4 लाख रुपए का एक बिस्किट खरीद लिया, अब वो बैंक में पड़ा है, तो आपका पैसा भी बैंक में है और बिस्किट भी बैंक के पास है. Do you understand that? तो आपके पास क्या है? कुछ भी नहीं. The point is, we need to unleash the potential of the households also to diversify their assets. समझ लो, मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ। $3 में खरीदा था शेयर इस कंपनी का कुछ लोगों ने, और उनको 3000% रिटर्न्स मिले इन 10 years टाइम। द कंपनी इज नेटफ्लिक्स। सुनना है, 90s में, लेट 90s में कुछ लोगों को विजन आ गया, वैसे अभी कुछ लोगों को विजन आ रहा है, तो एआई में, क्रिप्टो करेंसी, इस तरफ आप देख रहे होगे लोग जा रहे हैं। तो जो भी इसमें पैसा अभी थोड़ा डाल रहे हैं, ऑब्वियसली यू हैव टू गो आफ्टर प्रॉपर रिसर्च, नहीं तो फिर तो जो है वो भी जाएगा। तो पॉइंट है कि अगर आप ऐसे डिसरप्टिव टेक्नोलॉजीज में रहोगे, डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? सी, just a crude analogy, when you are making investment decisions, especially in the financial market, you have to think like Lord Shiva. Disruptive technologies, do you understand that? Those which can completely alter the landscape, like say for example chat gpt, इस तरीके का कुछ AI पूरा सब कुछ रिप्लेस कर देगा। रोबोटिक्स, it is said that by 2060 40% of the labor force will be replaced by robots, especially in mundane jobs and high risk jobs like mining and all. Do you understand that? तो अगर ये विजन है किसी में और वो स्टडी भी कर रहे हैं, एआई क्या है, रोबोटिक्स क्या है, ये सब कुछ पता है, बट उसके लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी भी तो मिलनी चाहिए। समझो लिस्टिंग नहीं हो रही है, स्टार्टअप ही नहीं हो रहे, एआई बेस्ड या स्पेस रिलेटेड स्टार्टअप्स नहीं आ रहे हैं, तो कैसे आप इन्वेस्ट करोगे? वही जाओगे सेविंग बैंक अकाउंट में रखोगे, वो 6% से 5, फिर 4, फिर 3.5, 2, एक टाइम में ये आएगा कि 100 रखोगे 98 मिलेगा, फिर भी लोग रखना चाहेंगे। वाई? बिकॉज कीपिंग मनी कैश इन होम इज हाईली रिस्की। यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? सपोज सिलेंडर ही फूट गया किसी दिन, तो पूरी मेहनत चली जाएगी। Then is green growth. Obviously, this is with respect to climate, resilient kind of technologies, adaptive, mitigative, preventive, these kind of technologies, and encouraging a kind of behavior which has a concern towards the environment, flora and fauna. Do you understand that? So that also the government is trying to push through this budget. Then youth power, obviously for enjoying the dividends of demographics. And here also you can talk in terms of opportunity, you can talk in terms of participation, you can talk in terms of diversification, वो सारी चीजें. And financial sector. When we say financial sector, we mean what? The banking sector, mostly. How the banks are going to perform. Because you see, remember Goldman Sachs crisis, 2008, the subprime crisis? The banking system was disrupted everywhere in the world, almost, barring few exceptions. Even Chinese banks, they suffered a lot, but the Indian banking sector, it stood tall, even when it was suffering from the plague of toxic assets. NPA बहुत ज़्यादा थे, फिर भी इंडियन बैंकिंग सेक्टर खड़ा रहा। उसका मेजर रीजन यही था कि हमारे फंडामेंटल्स बहुत अच्छे हैं बैंकिंग बिहेवियर में। हम लोन्स देते हैं, नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स भी काफी हो गए थे, लेकिन उसमें बहुत ज्यादा रीजन जो था वो पॉलिटिकल रीजन भी था। You understand that? Like say for example, I'll tell you, you are all aware about the failure of Kingfisher and Vijay Mallya's case, right? Now Vijay Mallya, he defaulted on his payment obligations. He had to pay I think 2,700 crores or something like that to the Punjab National Bank or something like that. But he crossed his deadline, and you know, जैसे कहते हैं सोने पे सुहागा, after a week he got a 3,000 crores fresh loan from the same bank. How is it possible? आप जाओ अपना एक बार लोन लो 1-2 लाख रुपए का और मत दो बैंक को। देखो बैंक क्या करती है आपके साथ। अगले हफ्ते आपको फिर से 6 लाख रुपए का लोन कैसे मिल सकता है? मिल सकता है because Vijay Mallya was at that time member of Rajya Sabha. Do you understand that? So there was a kind of a sentiment in the country कि ये क्या हो रहा है, जो there is a kind of exploitation of it. Yes, we have all these cases, and we have the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act also, and the government is after all these people, and let's hope they all will come back. वो आना ही पड़ेगा। एक्स्ट्रेडिशन ट्रीटी में भी बात हो रही है, मोहिल चौक से नीरव मोदी, ये सारे सबके बुरे दिन आने वाले हैं। And these are the 7 areas or the Saptarishi around which the Amritkal would be woven. Now, why we are calling it Saptarishi? Because in the Indian tradition, it is believed that the Saptarishis are the 7 guides who guide the people. So these values are the 7 guides that will guide us in the Amritkal. Do you understand that? So 3 core area hai, wo yaad rakhna aap. These core areas are opportunities for citizens with focus on youth, growth in job creation, strong and stable macroeconomic environment. और ये इससे क्वेश्चन आ सकता है that recently Saptarishi was in news with respect to it is a new temple which has been found in coastal Tamil Nadu. तो हो सकता है लोगों को लगे कि यही वाला होगा. तो it relates to the budget. ध्यान रखना. Now let's look at these priorities one by one. We'll start with inclusive development. Inclusive development एक तरीका है inclusive development के बारे में सोच के development in all sectors. Agriculture, industry, services हो गया inclusive development. ऐसे भी सोच कर देखो आप. So digital public infrastructure for agriculture and cooperation से related. Remember Sahakar? We read something related to that. Digital public infrastructure for agriculture will be built as an open source, open standard and interoperable public good. Open source means it will be available to all. Open standard means what standards have been established will be open to all. And interoperable, it means anybody can operate that and it can be operated on any platform. So it would not be dependent on operating system or devices, say for example. This will enable inclusive farmer-centric solutions through relevant information services for crop planning and health, improved access to farm inputs, credit and insurance, help for crop estimation, market intelligence, and support for growth of the agri-tech industry and startups. Now you see, budget is full of proposals all the time. Do you understand that? It is the proposals which is what attracts the notice of all and sundry as far as the budget is concerned. So that's why these proposals are facts. इसमें कुछ हम लॉजिक नहीं लगा सकते. उन्होंने एक स्कीम बनाई है खुद सोचकर और उसका ये नाम रखा है. तो इसमें ज्यादा आप कुछ कर नहीं सकते. आपको ध्यान तो रखना ही पड़ेगा. इसका इंटरप्रिटेशन क्या होगा? That would be more relevant for the mains examination. But here we are conducting the classes with respect to prelims. ध्यान है ना? तो इसलिए वही आप माइंडसेट रखना. Agriculture Accelerator Fund. An agriculture accelerator fund will be set up to encourage agri startups. ये बस याद रखना आप. The accelerator fund is always for startups, right? Aggregator fund is always for financial information sharing. ठीक. The fund will aim at bringing innovative and affordable solutions for challenges faced by farmers. It will also bring in modern technologies to transform agricultural practices and increase productivity and profitability. देखो वही चीजें हैं जो हमने सर्वे में देखा एग्रीकल्चर वाले चैप्टर में. वही चीज को बजट ने बोल दिया क्योंकि आपको पता है सर्वे में वो प्रपोज करते हैं और बजट में उसको इंप्लीमेंट कर देते हैं. Enhancing the productivity of cotton crop. To enhance the productivity of extra long staple cotton, we will adopt a cluster-based and value chain-based through public and private partnership. This will mean collaboration between farmers, the state and industry for input supplies, extension services and market linkages. What are these extension services? Extension services are those services which further helps in ease of doing business. Like say for example, insurance services could be considered as extension services. Atmanirbhar Horticulture Clean Plant Program. An Atmanirbhar Clean Plant Program will be launched to boost the availability of disease-free quality planting material for high-value horticultural crops at the outlay of 2,200 crores. Global Hub for Millets, Shri Anna. Now you remember this thing, Shri Anna, and one also you remember PM Shri. दोनों में कंफ्यूज मत होना, राइट? पीएम श्री इज फॉर एजुकेशन एंड श्री अन्ना इज फॉर मिलेट्स. ठीक है. इंडिया इज एट द फोरफ्रंट ऑफ पॉपुलराइजिंग मिलेट्स whose consumption furthers nutrition, food security and welfare of farmers. Remember the agriculture chapter was from food security to nutrition security and one focus was millet. In fact, the year has been declared as International Year for Millets. Now we are the largest producer and second largest exporter of Shri Anna in the world. Shri Anna is nothing but the nutri cereals. राइट। तो ये जो भी ज्वार, रागी, बाजरा जो भी मिलता है हमारे यहाँ वो सब नाम लिखा हुआ है। तो कई बार ये भी आ सकता है एंड यू माइट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड कि ये ज्योग्राफी का क्वेश्चन है या इकोनॉमी का क्वेश्चन है। इट्स एक्चुअली इकोनॉमिक ज्योग्राफी का क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है। दैट विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज अ मिलेट, और उसमें ये सब नहीं रहेगा ज्वार बाजरा, उसमें ऐसा रहेगा रामदाना, इस तरीके का कुछ नाम लिखा रहेगा, ठीक है। तो ये नाम आप ध्यान देना, बजट में यही लिखा हुआ है तो इतने पे ही रहो। वैसे तो 17 होते बट इतना काफी है। These have a number of health benefits and have been an integral part of our food for centuries. To make India a global hub for Sri Anna, the Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad, this you keep in mind that it's located in Hyderabad, will be supported as the center of excellence for sharing best practices, research and technologies at international level. Then obviously we have created agricultural credit, 20 lakh crore with a focus on animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries. PM Matsya Sampada Yojana, we already saw that when we were doing the budget, right? Sorry, survey. Further enable activities of fishermen, fish vendors, and micro and small enterprises, improve value chain efficiencies, and expand the market. It's a 6,000 crore outlay based project. Now look here, global hub for millets, Sri Anna. So there is a mention of what are these millets. And to make India global hub for Sri Anna, Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad. कुछ भी ना ध्यान में रहे, कम से कम ये स्लाइड भी अगर एक बार पढ़ लोगे तो कुछ तो भला हो सकता है, बाकी तो आपकी श्रद्धा पे। Now agriculture and cooperatives, if you see the budget 2023-24, what it says, inclusive development के लिए more credit to agriculture sector, 186 lakh crore in financial year 22. Agriculture Accelerator Fund to encourage startups in rural areas. Atmanirbhar Bharat Horticultural Green Plant Program to boost production of high value horticultural products. 20 lakh crore credit for animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries. Additional, इसमें मत्स्य संपदाय वाला भी आ जाता है. Additional storage capacity for farm produce and support to making India global hub for millet, which is Sri Anna. Health, education and skilling. ये हो गया तो पूरा inclusive development हो गया. So health के लिए अब देखो nursing colleges, 157 new nursing colleges will be established in co-location with the existing 157 medical colleges established since 2014. Now that's a great move. नहीं तो पहले क्या होता था कि नर्सिंग कॉलेज कहीं, मेडिकल कॉलेज कहीं, इन दोनों के बीच का कोऑर्डिनेशन बना के ही हम एक हेल्थ इकोसिस्टम डेवलप कर सकते हैं. सी आइसोलेटेड events of brilliance or individual institutions of brilliance will not do any good for the country. They are necessary. It's like say for example एक टीम है वो जीतती है क्योंकि एक प्लेयर है वो कभी कभी चल जाए तो जिता देता है. उससे अच्छा एक टीम बनाते हैं जिसमें हो सकता है कोई बहुत ब्रिलियंट नहीं हो लेकिन सब मिलके जब खेलते हैं तो इट इज द मोस्ट ब्रिलियंट टीम. You understand that? तो बस वो इसी की तैयारी हो रही है. Sickle cell anemia elimination mission. Eliminate sickle cell anemia by 2047. Awareness creation, universal screening of 7 crore people in the age group of 0 to 40 years in affected tribal areas and counseling. Medical research, ICMR, research by public and private medical college faculty and private sector R&D teams. Now look here, this is very minuscule in India. Private research, that too in medical science, क्योंकि medical research is very costly. Like say for example, अगर आपको DNA cloning पे research करनी है, it's very costly, right? So you have to have some sort of benefits from the government. The government has come up with all these things. Pharma innovation, a new program to promote research and innovation in pharmaceuticals will be taken up through centers of excellence. And now, when we talk about health, we also talk about holistic health. Not only this, but you must also read this in tandem with the Ayush program. Are you aware about that? Yes. We shall also encourage industry to invest in research and development in specific priority areas, multidisciplinary courses for medical devices, teachers training. Teachers training will be re-envisioned through innovative pedagogy, curriculum transaction, continuous professional development, dipstick surveys and ICT implementation. सब हमने देखा था survey में. The district institutes of education and training will be developed as vibrant institute of excellence for this purpose. National Digital Library for Children and Adolescents. A national digital library for children and adolescents will be set up for facilitating the availability of quality books across geographies, languages, genres and levels and device agnostic accessibility. अब एक चीज देखो, today's generation it is losing patience. Have you seen? बिकॉज ऑफ द रील्स कि वो 1 मिनट से ज्यादा कुछ बर्दाश्त नहीं कर पाते हैं. बट द बिगेस्ट वेपन दैट अ पर्सन कैन हैव इज पेशेंस. यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? और पेशेंस डेवलप करने का एक सबसे अच्छा तरीका है रीडिंग. रीडिंग इज वन हॉबी विच विल ऑलवेज हेल्प इन डेवलपिंग पेशेंस इन यू. और पेशेंट अगर आप रहोगे तभी आपका दिमाग काम करेगा इन क्राइसिस. अदरवाइज यू विल फेस एंजाइटी अटैक एंड ऑल दोस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, राइट? सो ये एक डिजिटल लाइब्रेरी बनाई गई है विच विल एनकरेज reading for children and adolescents. States will be encouraged to set up physical libraries for them at panchayat and world levels and provide infrastructure for accessing the national digital library resources. Okay. Have you seen any document or any excerpt written by any national leader? आपने देखा है उनका थॉट प्रोसेस कैसा होता था, उनकी लैंग्वेज कितनी क्लियर है. जबकि लुक एट द लेवल ऑफ एजुकेशन एट दैट टाइम, पर उन्होंने मोस्ट ऑफ द नेशनल लीडर्स दे आर सेल्फ एजुकेटेड. सब थोड़ी ना गए थे विदेश पढ़ने. मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर सेल्फ एजुकेटेड. व्हाई? बिकॉज एवरी पंचायत हैड द कल्चर ऑफ लाइब्रेरीज. फ्रॉम नॉर्थ टू साउथ, ईस्ट टू वेस्ट, कहीं भी चले जाओ आप, हर गांव में आपको एक लाइब्रेरी मिलती थी. अभी तो शहर में भी लाइब्रेरी खोजना मुश्किल है और मैकडॉनल्ड्स में ज्यादा भीड़ है लाइब्रेरी से आज. Well, McDonald's is also a kind of library. The point is that libraries are necessary because if you build libraries and universities, then only you can create a culture of innovation, debate, consultation, deliberation, policy thinking, all those kind of things. तो ये सब करना बहुत जरूरी है, तभी inclusive development हो पाएगा. देखो, affordable health for all, enhanced health expenditure 2.1% of GDP in financial year 23, sickle cell anemia elimination mission to be launched, 157 new nursing colleges to be established, joint public and private medical research to be encouraged via select ICMR labs, new program to promote research in pharmaceutical to be launched. तो ये सब कुछ किया गया है. Accessible education and skilling, inclusive development, enhanced education expenditure 2.9% of GDP in financial year 23. ये याद रखना है कि हमारा एजुकेशन पे एक्सपेंडिचर हेल्थ से ज्यादा है, ये ध्यान में रखना, ठीक है. Revamp teachers training via District Institute of Education and Training, national digital library to be set up for children and adolescents. Now, say for example, the question could be national digital library, which was recently is news, will be established for. Do you understand that? States will be encouraged to set up physical libraries at panchayat and ward levels. PMKVY 4.0 to be launched to skill lakhs of youth, which is Kaushal Vikas Yojana, right? Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Priority 2, reaching the last mile. Aspirational districts and blocks program. We have learned all about those things. Building on the success of Aspirational Districts program, the government has recently launched the Aspirational Blocks program, covering 500 blocks for saturation of essential government services across multiple domains such as health, nutrition, education, agriculture, water resources, financial inclusion, skill development and basic infrastructure. ये याद रखना, एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट जो था अब उसको ब्लॉक लेवल पे भी कर दिया गया है, ठीक है. और हो सकता है इसमें ये पॉलिटिक्स के सेक्शन में आ जाए ये क्वेश्चन, that a block includes what? You understand that? और उसमें हो सकता है कि ये भी एक स्टेटमेंट आ जाए that recently a scheme has been launched for block. It's an aspirational block. प्रधानमंत्री PVTG development mission, particularly vulnerable tribal group. This is also reaching to the last mile. So Pradhanmantri PVTG development mission will be launched. This will saturate PVTG families and habitations with basic facilities such as safe housing, clean drinking water and sanitation, improved access to education, health and nutrition, road and telecom connectivity and sustainable livelihood opportunities. An amount of 15,000 crores will be made available to implement the mission in the next 3 years under the Development Action Plan for Scheduled Tribes, right? So this is also a big move. Reaching the last mile, no one to be left behind. Pradhan Mantri PVTG development mission to be launched. Financial assistance for sustainable micro irrigation in drought prone regions of Karnataka. 38,800 more teachers for 740 Eklavya model residential schools. Eklavya schools are for yes, for the scheduled tribe and for the marginal sections, ऐसे आप बोल सकते हो, but mostly the children are from scheduled tribe category. Free food grain to all Antyodaya and priority household for 1 year under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana. Bharat Shri to be set up for digitization of ancient inscriptions, right? Outlay of PM Awas Yojana enhanced by 66%. एकलव्य मॉडल रेसिडेंशियल स्कूल, ये हो गया वाटर फॉर ड्रॉट प्रोन रीजन एंड पीएम आवास योजना. सी भारत शेयर्ड रिपोजिटरी ऑफ इंस्क्रिप्शन, भारत श्री will be set up in digital epigraphy museum with the digitization of 1 lakh ancient inscriptions in the first stage. How would it help in reaching the last mile? Yes, it will preserve cultures. Do you understand that? And when you preserve cultures, it means they automatically become a stakeholder. And that's how you reach the last mile. Support for poor prisoners, for poor persons होना चाहिए, जो मतलब प्रिजन में हैं, उनके लिए जो समझ लो माइनर ऑफेंसेस किए होंगे कभी, तो उनकी भी तो एक अपॉर्चुनिटी देनी चाहिए ना उनको. सी अ गुड सोसाइटी इज वन which gives you an opportunity to reintegrate again. This is nothing but a reformative form of punishment. बस उसी की बात हुई है यहाँ पर. Third priority is infrastructure and investment. Investment in infrastructure and productive capacity have a large multiplier effect on growth. I hope you understand this multiplier effect now. And employment after the subdued, okay, infrastructure creation, especially in manufacturing, has a lot of job elasticity. Can you understand that? Do you understand that? लिखो ये लाइन. Infrastructure creation in manufacturing has a high job elasticity. Infrastructure creation in manufacturing has a high job elasticity. ये कभी लिखवाया क्या पहले? लिखवा दिया था तो बोलो. Now look here, capital investments as driver of growth and jobs. तो इसमें कुछ वही सब दिया हुआ है कितने परसेंट होने वाला है, बट ये देखो ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. इंक्रीज ग्रोथ पोटेंशियल, जॉब क्रिएशन, क्राउड इन प्राइवेट इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, प्रोवाइड अ कुशन अगेंस्ट ग्लोबल हेडविंड्स. ये हेडविंड पता है ना क्या होता है? एडवर्स इकोनॉमिक सिचुएशन. इफेक्टिव कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर, द डायरेक्ट कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट बाय द सेंटर is complemented by provision made for creation of capital assets through grants in aid to states. ये वही है रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट और इफेक्टिव रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट वाला. इफेक्टिव रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट में हम क्या नहीं लेते? ग्रांट्स इन एड नहीं लेते, क्योंकि सेंटर से जो पैसा मिलता है स्टेट्स को, स्टेट्स उसको उड़ाते नहीं है. दे जनरली डू कैपेक्स विद दैट, राइट, और कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर. The effective capital expenditure of center is budgeted at rupees 13.7 lakh crore, which will be 4.7% of the GDP. मतलब इतना पैसा जो है स्टेट्स को दिया जाएगा ग्रांट इन एड में, और स्टेट्स उससे एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं हम कि वो उससे कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन करेंगे. रिमेंबर ग्रॉस फिक्स्ड कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन, वो उसकी बात हो रही है. सपोर्ट टू स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स फॉर कैपिटल इन्वेस्टमेंट, कंटिन्यूएशन ऑफ द 50-year इंटरेस्ट. वो लॉन्ग टर्म लोन जो दे रहे थे, ठीक है, सर्वे में भी बात हुई थी उसकी, वो फिर से बढ़ा दिया गया है. इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन टू स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स फॉर 1 more ईयर टू स्पर इन्वेस्टमेंट इन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. बट बात यह है कि वो जो पैसा लोगे आप इंटरेस्ट फ्री लोन का, उससे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ही क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा, और 50 साल में वापस करना है. मतलब सोच के देखो, आज लोन लो, 50 साल भी वही देना है आपको पैसा. मतलब आपने 1 लाख रुपए लिया किसी से और 50 साल बाद 1 लाख ही दे रहे हो उनको, लेकिन जो 1 लाख लिया उससे करना क्या है? उससे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलप करना है. और आपको पता है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज अ विजन कि अगर 1 लाख आपने लगा दिया उसमें इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में, तो वही 1 लाख 50-100 लाख दे देगा. Do you understand that? Like say for example, say by cargo movement or by giving a fillip to neighboring economic activities. Enhancing opportunities for private investment in infrastructure. Establishment of Infrastructure Finance Secretariat to assist all stakeholders for more private investments in infrastructure, including railways, road, urban infrastructure and power, which are predominantly dependent on public resources. तो इसमें नेशनल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पाइपलाइन और पीएम गति शक्ति दोनों को आपको ध्यान में रखना है इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में. हार्मोनाइज्ड मास्टर लिस्ट ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. The harmonized master list of infrastructure will be reviewed by an expert committee for recommending the classification and financing framework suitable for अमृत का. इसका मतलब कुछ नहीं है, एक ग्रेडिंग की जा रही है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की, और कहाँ पे कितना फाइनेंस एलोकेट करना है और क्या सर्विसेज होंगे उसके अराउंड, बस उसी की बात होती है यहाँ पे। रेलवे कैपिटल आउटले 2.40 lakh crore. Now you know railway budget is part of the overall budget. The highest ever outlay in about 9 times the outlay made in 2013-14. Logistics, इसमें भी national logistics policy जो है, 100 critical transport infrastructure projects for last and first mile connectivity for ports, coal, steel, fertilizer and food grain sector have been identified. They will be taken up on priority with investment 75,000 crore including 15,000 crore from private sources. Regional connectivity 50 additional airports, और आपको पता है कि उड़ान के अंदर तो 21 न्यू ग्रीनफील्ड एयरपोर्ट्स भी हैं अब. हेलीपोर्ट्स, water aerodromes, what does that mean? Have you seen those aircrafts which can land on water? Recently in Gujarat, the Prime Minister also traveled in one of such aircraft. And advanced landing grounds will be revived for improving regional air connectivity. Sustainable cities of tomorrow. States and cities will be encouraged to undertake urban planning reforms and actions to transform our cities into sustainable cities of tomorrow. This would mean efficient use of land resources, adequate resources for urban infrastructure, transit-oriented development. Transit-oriented development means, see, when you travel from one city to another city, the city which falls in the path must act as a transit point. That could be transit for trade or logistics or for investment, anything. Development, enhanced availability and affordability of urban land and opportunities for all. Making cities ready for municipal bonds. Through property tax governance reforms and ring fencing user charges on urban infrastructure, cities will be incentivized to improve their credit worthiness for municipal bonds. सीधी सी बात यह है कि जैसे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अपनी टी बिल्स इशू करती है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स भी इशू कर सकती हैं, अब म्यूनिसिपल बॉडीज जो है, अर्बन लोकल बॉडीज, वो भी अपना बॉन्ड इशू कर दे, म्यूनिसिपल बॉन्ड्स. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? और अगर ऐसे इशू कर दे, समझ लो म्यूनिसिपल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ग्रीन बॉन्ड्स, तो सोचो उसको जो खरीदेगा उसको टैक्स इंसेंटिव भी मिलेगा एक तरीके से, और जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट होगा उससे मल्टीप्लायर इफेक्ट भी होगा और रीचिंग द लास्ट माइल भी होगा, बिकॉज क्लीन एनवायरनमेंट मींस एवरीबडी हैज अ गुड लाइफ. In urban infrastructure development fund, UIDF will be established through use of priority sector lending shortfall that will be managed by the National Housing Bank and will be used by public agencies to create urban infrastructure in tier 2, tier 3. तो ये याद रखना, UIDF is for 2 and 3. States will be encouraged to leverage resources from the grants of the 15th Finance Commission as well as existing schemes to adopt appropriate user charges with accessing the while accessing the UIDF. It is expected to make available rupees 10,000 crore per annum for this purpose. Urban sanitation, all cities and towns will be enabled for 100% mechanical desludging of septic tanks and sewers to transition from manhole to machine hole mode. देखो ये सब कुछ स्वच्छ भारत के अंडर ही होगा, ठीक है. Enhanced focus will be provided for scientific management of dry and wet waste. See, one major problem in India is the lack of waste segregation, and waste segregation at the generation point. जैसे आप सोच कर देखो, घर में एक ही कचरे का डब्बा होता है, उसी में समझ लो कोई चिप्स खा के फेंक दिया, उसी में पेपर भी फेंक दिया, और लास्ट में रात की बची हुई दाल भी उसी में डाल दी, ठीक है ना. और कुछ लोगों ने शेविंग किया तो उसका ब्लेड भी फेंक दिया उसमें. द पॉइंट इज that makes the job of the waste collector and waste management authorities very difficult. We must separate waste into different categories. Like, say for example, instead of having one kachre ka dabba, you should have 2 kachre ka dabba, dry and wet waste, or you can have hazardous, non-hazardous. Like, say for example, battery fek rahe ho ya blades fek rahe ho, so they are hazardous, right? So they should be thrown in a separate basket. तो वही ड्राई और वेट वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट उसकी बात हो रही है. देखो रेलवे बजट एट अ ग्लांस, और इससे ज्यादा कुछ देखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बस ये कुछ नंबर्स हैं, इनको बस आप एक बार देख लेना. पैसेंजर फ्रेट क्या है, वर्किंग रिजल्ट्स क्या है, ग्रॉस ट्रैफिक रिसीट्स, टोटल वर्किंग एक्सपेंसेस, तो कितना मिला है पैसा, कितना एक्सपेंस रहा है, वो सब इसमें दिख रहा है. बजटरी एस्टिमेट जो ये दिख रहा है, इसमें आप देखो वर्किंग एक्सपेंसेस थोड़े कम दिखा रहे हैं जितने ट्रैफिक रिसीट्स हैं, बट इट्स नॉट वर्किंग एक्सपेंसेस, देयर आर अदर एक्सपेंसेस आल्सो ऑफ रेलवेज. दैट्स व्हाई रेलवे में थोड़ा सा डेफिसिट सिनेरियो हो जाता है. ensuring last mile connectivity, an expert committee to review the harmonized master list of infrastructure, highest ever capital outlay 2.4 lakh crore for railways, 100 critical transport infrastructure projects identified, 50 additional airports, heliports, water aerodromes and advanced landing grounds to be revived, coastal shipping to be promoted through PPP mode. Fourth priority, which is unleashing the potential. Good governance is the key to a nation's progress. Our government is committed to providing a transparent and accountable administration which works for the betterment and welfare of the common citizen, said the Honorable Prime Minister. So, Mission Karma Yogi for civil servants. ये तो पता ही होना चाहिए आपको. Center, state and union territories are making and implementing capacity building plans for civil servants. An integrated online training program, IGOT Karma Yogi, to provide continuous learning opportunities for lakhs of government employees to upgrade their skills and facilitate people-centric approach. Now look here, one of the recommendations for reforms in UPSC is also that once the aspirants, they are recommended by the UPSC, they get training by DOPT, and then they are placed in the respective districts, if it is all India service, cadre या कोई भी central service, कुछ भी हो. उसके बाद आफ्टर 6 months देयर शुड बी एन असेसमेंट. देखो कि इसके यहां पर आने के बाद सोसाइटी पे क्या इंपैक्ट पड़ा है. समझ में पता चला कि पॉजिटिव की जगह नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट पड़ा है. समझ लो कोई IAS ऑफिसर बन के चला गया, तो नाउ ही स्टार्ट्स कंसिडरिंग हिमसेल्फ एज द किंग ऑफ द डिस्ट्रिक्ट व्हेन ही शुड बी द सर्वेंट ऑफ द डिस्ट्रिक्ट. यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? तो ये असेसमेंट रिपोर्ट अब आएगी और उस असेसमेंट रिपोर्ट के बेसिस पे जो आपका ओवरऑल सर्विस रिकॉर्ड है वो भी मॉडिफाई होगा. तो आपके प्रमोशन, ग्रोथ, इवन नौकरी भी जा सकती है. कि अगर परफॉर्म नहीं किया अच्छे से, यू डू नॉट मेक क्वालिटेटिव चेंज इन द लाइफ ऑफ द पीपल, देन ऑब्वियसली ये भी हो सकता है कि आपको डिसबैंड कर दिया जाए, सस्पेंड कर दिया जाए, रेप्रीमैंड किया जाए या आपको ट्रांसफर कर दिया जाए. कुछ भी हो सकता है आपके साथ. तो एक बहुत अच्छी बात है, इसे घबराने वाली बात नहीं. ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात है कि आपके देखो जैसे पॉलिटिशियंस होते हैं, दे आर कॉन्स्टेंटली इन एग्जाम मोड, aren't they? Because they fail to perform, the people punish them immediately. But the civil services, if you see that in that there is a particular section. Obviously, there are some notable officers who are doing commendable job and hats off to their hard work. But unfortunately, there is also a group which is not so productive. ठीक है? So this kind of an approach will keep them on toes. Karma Yogi. Centers of Excellence for Artificial Intelligence to make AI in India and make AI work for India. 3 centers of excellence for artificial intelligence will be set up in top educational institutions. एक तो मेरे ख्याल से IIT कानपुर में ही लग रहा है. Leading industry players will partner in conducting interdisciplinary research, develop cutting edge applications and scalable problem solutions in areas of agriculture, health and sustainable cities. This will galvanize an effective AI ecosystem and nurture quality human resources in the field. देखो ये statements जो है ना, आपको जो ये slides में दे रहा हूँ, ये मेंस एग्जाम के लिए भी काफी है. ठीक है, यही statements आप वहां पर भी लिख सकते हो. That would be enough. National Data Governance Policy. To unleash innovation and research by startups and academia, a national data governance policy will be brought out. देखो ये सब will be है, मतलब अभी तक आया नहीं है कुछ. This will enable access to anonymized data. मतलब जिसका कोई सोर्स नहीं होता, हम ट्रैक नहीं कर सकते. फेक न्यूज के ऊपर भी कुछ काम कर रही है गवर्नमेंट. All this kind of thing. See, fake news, government tracking fake news. Is this a good thing? Is this a good thing? What is the alternative then? If this is not a good thing, what is the alternative? Self-regulation is the alternative. But till such time that self-regulation does not gets into the DNA of organizations, government must step in. But the moment the self-regulation thing is celebrated within organizations, then you can understand that government should come out of it. Do you get it? Simplification of know your customer process, KYC process will be simplified, adopting risk-based instead of one-size-fits-all approach. The financial sector regulators will also be encouraged to have a KYC system fully amenable to meet the needs of digital India. One-stop solution for identify and address updating. A one-stop solution for reconciliation and updating of identify and address of individuals maintained by various, ये डिजीलॉकर है और कुछ नहीं, ठीक है, और कुछ भी नहीं. Common business identifier for the business establishment required to have a permanent account number. The PAN will be used as the common identifier for all digital systems of specified government agencies. This will bring ease of doing business and it will be facilitated through a legal mandate. अभी भी पैन से होता है लेकिन कोई लॉ नहीं है उसके अराउंड, ठीक है. पैन आधार लिंकेज पता है ना. यूनिफाइड फाइलिंग प्रोसेस फॉर obviating the need of separate submission of same information to different government agencies. A system of unified filing process will be set up. Such filing of information or return is in simplified forms on a common portal will be shared with other agencies as per filer's choice. Like say for example, suppose you are starting something with respect to heavy industries. तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉमर्स वहाँ पे भी जाना पड़ेगा आपको, हो सकता है लॉजिस्टिक्स मिनिस्ट्री में भी कुछ आपको देना पड़े, लेबर मिनिस्ट्री में भी कुछ आपको देना पड़े. हर बार आप फाइल ही करते रहोगे अपने पेपर्स. यहाँ पे क्या है, एक जगह फाइल करो, बाकी सब वहां से शेयर करेंगे. जैसे आपका डिजी लॉकर होता है, आपने देखा होगा कि आप कुछ यूपीआई भी कुछ करते हो तो केवाईसी में आपको डिजी लॉकर में ले जाता है और फिर आपके आधार नंबर पे फिर ओटीपी जनरेट करके आता है और उसके बाद सब कुछ शेयर हो जाता है. मतलब यू ओनली हैव टू हैव अ फोन नंबर विच इज लिंक्ड विद आधार. दैट्स इट. एंड आधार शुड बी लिंक्ड विद एवरीथिंग एल्स. बस काम हो गया, कुछ भी नहीं चाहिए. फिर विवाद से विश्वास. दिस इज फॉर एमएसएमईज. मतलब पहले से विवाद ही होता था. सो इन केस ऑफ फेलियर बाय एमएसएमईज टू एग्जीक्यूट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स ड्यूरिंग द कोविड पीरियड, 95% of the forfeited amount relating to bid or performance security will be returned to them by government and government undertakings. This will provide relief to MSMEs. मतलब एक तरह से ऐसा समझ लो, MSMEs ने कुछ पैसा लिया था बट कोविड आने की वजह से वो पैसे को यूज नहीं कर पाए. अब वो लोन वापस करना है उनको, पर वो समय हो सकता है उस समय खर्चे मेंटेन करने में चला गया और रेवेन्यू तो कुछ आया नहीं, तो इससे एक विवाद होगा. बट गवर्नमेंट ये कह रही है कि मत करो, विश्वास करो. उल्टा we will give you again. Rather government came out with something called ECLGS, right? तो उससे, और ये दो उसमें हुआ है वर्जन्स में. दिस इज फर्स्ट एंड दिस इज सेकंड वन. सेटिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल डिस्प्यूट्स. तो पहला वाला लोन से रिलेटेड है, दूसरा वाला डिस्प्यूट, इंडस्ट्रियल डिस्प्यूट. स्टेट सपोर्ट मिशन. द स्टेट सपोर्ट मिशन ऑफ नीति आयोग विल बी कंटिन्यूड फॉर 3 years फॉर अवर कलेक्टिव एफर्ट्स टुवर्ड्स नेशनल प्रायोरिटीज. इट मीन्स लाइक with the support of all the states, achieving common goals for the nation. That's it. Result-based financing. To better allocate scarce resources for competing development needs, the financing of select schemes will be changed on a pilot basis from input-based to result-based. ये तो पहले क्या होता था कि पैसा दिए जा रहे हो तो दिए ही जा रहे हो एक स्कीम को, रिजल्ट पे नहीं आता था. Are you aware about outlay budgeting and outcome budgeting? ये outcome budgeting है. Do you understand that? जहाँ पे रिजल्ट देख के आगे पैसे दिए जाते हैं. E-courts. For efficient administration of justice, phase 3 of e-courts will be launched with an outlay of 7,000 crore. Fintech services. Fintech services in India have been facilitated by our digital public infrastructure, including Aadhaar, PM Jan Dhan Yojana, Video KYC, India Stack, and UPI. To enable more fintech innovative services, the scope of documents available in DigiLocker for individuals will be expanded. Entity DigiLocker. An entity DigiLocker will be set up for the use by MSMEs. तो ये बस इतना ध्यान रखना, entity DigiLocker which has been proposed is for MSMEs. ये याद रखना बस. 5G services. 100 labs for developing applications using 5G services will be set up in engineering institutions to realize the new range of opportunities, business models, and employment potential. The labs will cover, among other, applications such as smart classroom, precision farming, intelligent transport system, and healthcare applications. Lab grown diamonds. It is a technology and innovation driven emerging sector with high employment potential. These environment friendly diamonds which have optically and chemically the same properties as natural diamond. So इस पे question ऐसे आ सकते हैं that they are optically similar to natural diamonds but not chemically. इस तरीके का कोई स्टेटमेंट आ जाए, ठीक है। To encourage indigenous production of LGD, lab grown diamonds, seeds and machines, and to reduce import dependency, a research and development grant will be provided to one of the IITs for 5 years. Unleashing the potential towards a transparent and accountable administration, phase 3 of e-courts to be launched for efficient administration of justice. तो कुछ नहीं हो तो बस ये स्लाइड्स पढ़ लेना, वो भी काफी हो जाएंगे। विवाद से विश्वास phase 1 for less stringent contract execution for MSMEs, विवाद से विश्वास phase 2 for easier settlement of contractual disputes of government and government undertakings, input based to result based financing for better allocation of scarce resources, entity Digi Locker to be set up for business for secure online storing and sharing of documents, mostly obviously for MSMEs. MSME पे इतना जोर क्यों है? Why? Because it is the largest employment generator, MSMEs. Unleashing the potential good governance, 39,000 compliances reduced, 3,400 legal provisions decriminalized for trust-based governance. Jan Vishwas bill introduced to amend 42 central acts, जिसमें वो पनिशमेंट वगैरह थे, याद है कि माइनर कुछ गलती हो जाती तो जेल हो जाता था, अब वो सब खत्म कर दिया, सिविल पेनल्टी डाल दिया उसमें। 100 labs to be set up for 5G services based application, ये सारे इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेजेस में होंगे मोस्टली। 3 centers of excellence for artificial intelligence will be set up in top educational institutions. National data governance policy to enable access to anonymized data. One-stop solution for identity and address updating will be established using DigiLocker service and Aadhaar. 5th priority, which is green growth, green hydrogen mission, इसके बारे में हमने सर्वे में भी बात की थी। Transition of economy to low carbon intensity. The target is to reach an annual production of 5 million metric tons by 2030. Energy transition. This budget provides 35,000 crore for priority capital investment towards energy transition and net zero objectives and energy security by Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. अब एक चीज देखो, इसमें जो ये सारी चीजें लिखी हुई है, ये आपको ध्यान में रहे ना रहे, बट ये ध्यान रखना कि ग्रीन ग्रोथ के अंडर क्या है, जैसे कि ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन मिशन, एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन, एनर्जी स्टोरेज प्रोजेक्ट्स, यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट। और ये तो नाम से भी समझ में आ रहा है कि सब कुछ ग्रीन ग्रोथ के अंदर ही होगा। सो एनर्जी स्टोरेज प्रोडक्ट्स, यू सी बैटरी एनर्जी स्टोरेज सिस्टम्स विद अ कैपेसिटी ऑफ 4000 वॉट, वो वाला भी बैटरी बनने वाला है, वायबिलिटी गैप फंडिंग भी होगी उसके लिए। अ डिटेल्ड framework for pumped storage product. Remember pumped storage product? Told you a reservoir at upper height, a reservoir at lower height, और उससे टर्बाइन लगा होता था जिससे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी जनरेट होता था, वही पानी वापस जाता था यूजिंग दैट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी, और नेट उसमें कितना था प्रोडक्टिविटी 75% के आसपास, तो 25% ही लगता था सिस्टम को, और वो सारा क्या है, रिन्यूएबल है, और इट्स अ सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग सिस्टम, साइक्लिकल टाइप का। डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? जैसे अराघट्टा होता था वैसा ही है एंशिएंट इंडिया में। Have you seen that there would be a bullock or something like that would be rotating around, and there would be water that would be dispelled, and again the water would be collected back into the reservoir. It's more or less like that. Renewable energy evacuation, the interstate transmission system for evacuation and grid integration of 13 gigawatt of renewable energy from Ladakh will be constructed with an investment of 20,700 crores, including central support of 8,300 crores. Green credit program, behavioral change, a green credit program will be notified under the Environment Protection Act. This will incentivize environmentally sustainable and responsive actions by companies. मतलब फंड बना के लोन दिया जाएगा आगे कंपनीज को, जिससे उनको एनकरेज किया जाए। पीएम प्रणाम, नाउ दिस इज PM program for restoration, awareness, nourishment and amelioration of Mother Earth. So PM pranam you do to Mother, so this is for Mother Earth. Will be launched to incentivize states and union territories to promote alternative fertilizers and balanced use of chemical fertilizers. So green growth का देख लेते हैं हम क्या क्या था। Green credit program to be launched to incentivize sustainable actions. PM Pranam to be launched to incentivize state union territory to promote alternative fertilizers. 500 new waste to wealth plants to be established under Gobardhan scheme. Mishti to be taken up for mangrove plantation along coastline. Amrit Dharohar to be implemented over next 3 years for optimal usage of westland. तो इसमें याद क्या रखना है, देखो मिष्टी is for mangrove, अमृत धरोहर is for wetlands. तो ये देख भी लेते हैं थोड़ा डिटेल में हम। Look here, Govardhan scheme, 500 new waste to wealth plants under Govardhan, galvanizing organic bio agro resources Dhan scheme will be established for promoting circular economy. This will include 200 compressed biogas plants, including 75 plants in urban areas and 300 community or cluster based plants. A total investment of 10,000 crore for collection of biomass and distribution of biomanure. Appropriate fiscal support will be provided. Bharatiya Prakritik Kheti Bio Input Resource Centers. 1 crore farmers will be facilitated to adopt natural farming over the next 3 years. For this, 10,000 bio input resource centers will be set up, creating a national level distributed micro fertilizer and pesticide manufacturing network. Mishti is mangrove initiative for shoreline habitats and tangible incomes. ठीक है, so this is for mangroves. कैंपा फंड वगैरह जो है, नरेगा, वो सब कुछ आएगा इसमें. अमृत धरोहर, the government will promote their unique conservation values through Amrit Dharohar, a scheme that will be implemented over the next 3 years to encourage optimal use of wetlands and enhance biodiversity. Very, very, very important Amrit Dharohar, because it is something which is proposed for the first time. ठीक है, तो बहुत चांस है कि इससे आ जाए, और मिष्टी से भी याद रखना, मिष्टी मैंग्रोव, अमृत धरोहर फॉर वेटलैंड्स. Vehicle replacement. In furtherance of vehicle scrapping policy mentioned in budget 2021-22, adequate funds have been allocated to scrap old vehicles of central government. States will also be supported in replacing old vehicles and ambulances. अब तो देखो ये भी हो गया है कि depreciation rate बहुत high कर दिया गया है. Are you aware about this? Depreciation rates fixed by the ministries or by the government, you see, has been increased. जैसे ट्रक्स पे डिप्रिसिएशन 45% कर दिया गया. मतलब आज एक ट्रक खरीदो आप, उसको 2.5 साल बाद उसकी वैल्यू 0 हो जाएगी, इफ यू हैव नॉट डन एनी सर्विसिंग एंड ऑल. समझ में आ रहा है? क्या वो सच में 0 हो जाएगी? क्या एक ट्रक आप खरीदते हो तो 2.5 साल बाद वो खराब हो जाएगा? नहीं होगा. पर ये क्यों किया गया है? टू डिस्करेज रीसेलिंग ऑफ इट. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? सो दैट द ओल्ड व्हीकल्स कैन बी कलेक्टेड एंड दे कैन बी स्क्रैप्ड. और नया व्हीकल जो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल है या इलेक्ट्रिक ट्रक्स है, ऐसा कुछ प्रमोट किया जाए रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी से. सोच के देखो कि ट्रक के ऊपर ही पैनल लगा हुआ है और एक बैटरी भी लगी हुई है, एंड इट रिचार्जेस इटसेल्फ, एंड विथ पावर नाइट पे भी वो चल सकता है, और दैट ट्रक बिकम सस्टेनेबल, एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली, चीपर एंड लाइटर ऑन द रोड. इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स थोड़े लाइट होते हैं, और लाइट व्हीकल मीन्स मोर सस्टेनेबिलिटी ऑफ द रोड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. लेस लोड, स्पेशली रोड पे तो चलो छोड़ दो, नहीं समझ में आ रहा होगा, ब्रिजेस का सोच के देखो. समझ में? एक ब्रिज को खराब करना है तो हर 2-2 मिनट में एक ट्रक पास करवा दो उसकी वजह से. अभी नहीं, लेकिन 10-20 साल बाद वो ब्रिज, ऑब्वियसली देयर विल बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ वेट. 6th priority, youth power. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana aims to skill lakhs of youth within next 3 years. On job training, industry partnership and alignment of courses with the needs of industry will be emphasized. It will also cover new age courses for industry 4.0 like coding, AI, robotics, mechatronics, IoT, 3D printing, drone and soft skill. What is this mechatronics? Mechanical electronics. ऐसा ये समझ लो, ठीक है. To skill youth for international opportunities, 30 Skill India International Centers will be set up across different states. National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, क्या ये तो पुराना है, बट 3 years के लिए और कर दिया गया. Tourism with an integrated and innovative approach, at least 50 destinations will be selected through challenge mode. अब एक चीज देखो, अगर आप घूमने के बारे में सोचते हो कभी, tourism industry is a big industry and it is one of such industries which can create a lot of jobs, especially in the semi-skilled sector, right, or semi-skilled category. बात यह है कि टूरिज्म की बात आप करते हो तो क्या आपको ध्यान में आता है? Some hill stations, that's it. But there are different kinds of tourism that we can encourage, like say for example religious tourism, environmental tourism, or historical tourism, all those kind of things, or multi kind of tourism. तो उसके लिए हमको कुछ हॉटस्पॉट्स आइडेंटिफाई करने पड़ेंगे गवर्नमेंट के. जैसे आप सोच के देखो, somebody living in Bihar travels all across to Rajasthan but never travels to Jharkhand, which is one of the best places for ecotourism. Do you understand that? तो अगर इस चीज को गल्वनाइज कर दिया जाए तो आप सोचो कितना जनरेट होगा उससे. Somebody living in Karnataka, say, wants to go to say Uti very regularly, but never goes to any coastal part of Karnataka, a village say for example, have you heard about something called budget tourism? तो इस चीज को अगर हम encourage करें, and जब तक लोग निकलेंगे नहीं घर से, तब तक वो डेवलपमेंट नहीं होने वाली पर्सनैलिटी की, ठीक है. टूरिज्म इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर पर्सनैलिटी डेवलपमेंट. नहीं तो फिर वही घर में बैठना, रोज वही चार दीवारी में बंद होकर रहना, एक टाइम में कब you will become old, you will not understand, right? And also when you interact less with people, your personality also remains subdued, confidence levels also drop, challenge face करने की भी वो चली जाती है. लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अभी कल ही निकल जाओ, पहले एग्जाम दे लो, उसके बाद बिल्कुल जाना है, कहीं तो जाना है. एक तो भारत दर्शन करवाते हैं सबसे पहले, ट्रेनिंग बिगिंस विद टूरिज्म, है ना. लेकिन खुद भी ट्रैवल करो. दो चीजें करो लाइफ में इफ यू वांट टू ग्रो एज अ पर्सन. ट्रैवल, एंड इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि ट्रैवल मतलब मुझे न्यूयॉर्क जाना है. ट्रैवल कुछ भी हो सकता है, ठीक है. आप आसपास के गांव में ही चले जाओ, कहीं पे थोड़ा ट्रैवल करो. और बजट में बिल्कुल हो सकता है बजट ट्रैवलिंग इफ यू प्लान राइट. सोच के देखो कितना पैसा इधर उधर वेस्ट करते हो. और दूसरा, इन्वेस्ट इन बुक्स, रीड बुक्स, ठीक है, तरह तरह की. इफ यू डू दीज टू थिंग्स, then obviously you will improve. Like say for example, if I give you people 1 lakh rupees, I'm not going to do that. Just imagine. I give each one of you 1 lakh rupees and I ask you to spend it. How would you spend it? 1 lakh रुपए है. How would you spend it? I give you a month. How would you spend it? Now you can spend it in one day also. Maximum लोग जो है वो आईफोन खरीद लेंगे. Most of the people will do this, right? Or maybe people will travel. ये हो सकता है. But see, that person will be the most intelligent who will now try to make this 1 lakh into 10 lakh. तो शेयर में मत लगाओ, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ, खुद पे लगा दो. स्किल्स इंप्रूव कर लो. जैसे समझ लो एआई प्रोग्रामिंग सीख लिया आपने, मशीन लर्निंग के सब कुछ सीख लिया आपने, तो जो जॉब ऑफर आपको, जो पैकेज ऑफर हो रहा था उसमें 10 लाख बढ़ गया, तो हो गया ना 1 का 10 लाख. ऐसे सोच कर देखो. देयर आर वेरी फ्यू पीपल, बिकॉज सी वॉट एवर इज गुड वी आर मोस्टली अवर्स टू दैट. दैट्स व्हाई वोल्टेयर सेड कॉमन सेंस इज नॉट सो कॉमन. अब देखो जूस भी मिल रहा होगा और वो गोलगप्पे वाला पानी भी मिल रहा होगा, लेकिन मैक्सिमम लोग गोलगप्पे वाला पानी पियेंगे रोज, लेकिन जूस नहीं पियेंगे, है ना. ये बिहेवियरल पैटर्न है एक तरीके का. बट एनी हाउ, इधर आ जाओ वापस. 7th priority is financial sector. Financial sector regulations, public consultation as necessary and feasible will be brought to process the regulation, making and issuing subsidiary directions to simplify, ease and reduce cost of compliance. Financial sector regulators will be requested to carry out a comprehensive review of existing regulations. में SEBI आ गया, RBI आ गया, सारे आ गए. Data embassy. For countries looking for digital continuity solutions, we will facilitate setting up of their data embassies in GIFT IFSC, improving governance and investor protection in banking sector to improve bank governance. अच्छा, आपको वो याद है, एक मैंने आपको बताया था, it's a statistics. Now you have to tell me the name. It's a statistics. It's a balance between assets and liability that residents have with respect to non-residents. पिछली ही क्लास में किया. Okay, it's related to investment. छोड़ो, समझ में आ गया. So look here, that such kind of things are encouraged under this. Capacity building in security market. The National Institute of Securities Market and to be recognized award of degrees, diplomas and certificates. Central Data Processing Center. A central processing center will be set up for faster response to companies through centralized handling of various forms filed with field offices under Companies Act. Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav Mahila Samman Bachat Patra. A one-time new small savings schemes, Mahila Samman savings certificates will be made available for a 2-year period up to March 2025. Okay, are you aware about the Mahila Bank? Once it was opened, the Mahila Bank started as a public sector bank, 2015 के आसपास ये बैंक खुला था, पर बाद में उसको मर्ज कर दिया गया। बताओ वो बैंक क्यों फेल हुआ, महिला बैंक? बिकॉज इट टारगेटेड ओनली द फीमेल्स। यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? व्हेन इट शुड टारगेट द होल मार्केट। इकोनॉमिकली सोचो ना, तो आप कोई इकोनॉमिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को सोशल रूल्स के साथ नहीं चला सकते। इकोनॉमिक एम्पावरमेंट विल ट्रांसलेट इनटू सोशल एम्पावरमेंट। दैट बैंक वाज मेड एक्सक्लूसिवली फॉर वुमेन, वुमेन बैंक। यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? महिला बैंक में आप ये कर सकते हो दैट ऑल द स्टाफ विल बी फीमेल, but its business should expand to all sectors. It only catered to female needs, female entrepreneurship, say for example. Now look at the number of female entrepreneurs in the country. There are a handful. Do you understand that? So economically कैसे वो push होता वो बैंक? That's why उसको बाद में merge करना पड़ा। उससे अच्छा क्या है? ऐसा कुछ है, महिला सम्मान सेविंग सर्टिफिकेट, जिससे भी फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन भी होती है, एम्पावरमेंट भी होती है। Fiscal deficit of states will be allowed a fiscal deficit of 3.5% of their gross state domestic product, of which 0.5% will be tied to power sector reforms. The revised estimate of the total receipts other than borrowings is 24.3 lakh crore, of which the net tax receipts are 20.9 lakh crore. The revised estimate of total expenditure is 41.9 lakh crore, of which the capital expenditure is about 7.3 lakh crore. तो सोच के देखो कितना कम है capital expenditure. The revised estimate of the fiscal deficit is 6.4% of the GDP, adhering to the budget estimate. So देख लो ये, now we move to the second half of the budget. The 7 priorities are done, और यहीं पे अगर आप इतना भी पढ़ लोगे तो that would be enough, right? उसके बाद सिर्फ ये कुछ चार्ट्स आप ध्यान में देख लो, जैसे रेवेन्यू रिसीट्स हैं, देखो कंटिन्यूअसली बढ़ रहे हैं, ट्रेंड देखो। कैपिटल रिसीट्स कंटिन्यूअसली बढ़ रहे हैं, टोटल रिसीट्स ऑब्वियसली ये भी कंटिन्यूअसली बढ़ेंगे अगर ये दोनों बढ़ रहा है तो। टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर इट इज ऑल्सो इंक्रीजिंग, स्पेशली बिकॉज ऑफ कैपेक्स increasing. Revenue deficit, you see, it is coming down. Can you see that? Effective revenue deficit, see, it is also coming down. It's a good sign, revenue deficit coming down. Fiscal deficit, obviously it has enhanced because of the 2 reasons, right? And primary deficit, obviously because it is linked to fiscal deficit, so it moves accordingly. ये देख लो आप, ये दोनों टेबल आप ध्यान में रखो। Proposed expenditure from budget, इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट पे सबसे ज्यादा एक्सपेंडिचर है, मतलब जो लोन लिया है, एंड दिस काइंड ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर इज व्हाट एक्सपेंडिचर? रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर। यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? स्टेट शेयर ऑफ टैक्सेस एंड ड्यूटीज 18%, सेंट्रल सेक्टर स्कीम 17%, फाइनेंस कमीशन एंड अदर ट्रांसफर्स 19%, लोएस्ट जो है वो पेंशंस पे जा रहा है, ठीक है। अगर आप यूनियन बजट के सोर्सेज ऑफ रिसीट देखो, सो अगेन यू सी बोरोइंग्स एंड अदर लायबिलिटीज इज द बिगेस्ट रिसीट. Then goods and services tax 17%. Many people thought that GST will be a complete failure, but see how GST is performing. It has even surpassed income tax. Then corporate income tax, union excise duty, non-tax revenue, non-debt capital receipts and customs. Customs is जिससे सबसे कम मिल रहा है, लेकिन आपको पता है क्यों कस्टम से कम मिल रहा है? क्योंकि ड्यूटी रिलैक्सेशन दी गई थी, याद है, फॉर इंपोर्टिंग एडिबल ऑयल, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ क्राइसिस हो गई थी. ट्रेंड्स इन टैक्स रिसीट्स, ये देखो ग्रॉस टैक्स रिसीट्स परसेंटेज ऑफ जीडीपी अब 11.1 है, कभी 11.4 होता था 2021-22 में, बट अब थोड़ा सा वो कम हुआ है. देन डायरेक्ट टैक्स, you see that this green line indicates it's almost 6% now, whereas the orange line, it indicates indirect tax, it is 5.1% of GDP. Fiscal deficit, ये भी आप यही देख लो chart, that would be enough. The proposed deficit is 5.9% and this is the revenue deficit, primary deficit, सबका डेटा दिया हुआ है. अब ये देखो कुछ नंबर्स याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बस ये ट्रेंड याद रखो, ठीक है, कि नीचे की तरफ जा रहा है सब कुछ, और कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं है. यू जस्ट लुक एट दिस, दिस इज द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एक्सपेंडिचर, कौन से कहां कहां पर कितना कितना पैसा हो रहा है, तो बस ये एक बार देख लेना. Now look at the net receipt of the center, right? If you look here, there are three categories. The green indicates the non-debt capital receipt. Non-debt capital receipt means Non-debt capital receipts means long-term receipts which is not loan. That is non-debt capital receipt. Non-tax revenue, it means user charges, fees, fines, etc. And net centers tax revenue, this is by blue. So you see the biggest share is tax, then after that this is non-tax, and then non-debt capital receipt. Non-debt capital receipt हमको बढ़ाना है, ठीक है, क्योंकि उसमें क्या हो सकता है, non-debt capital receipt like FDI. Now if you look at composition of expenditure, then also you see that you have other grants, loans, finance commission grants, central sponsored scheme, other central sector expenditure, central sector schemes, establishments expenditure of center. सबसे बड़ा component जो 14.68% है वो होगा central sector schemes. तो जब हम revenue की बात करते हैं सबसे बड़ा क्या है, सबसे बड़ा क्या है, net centers tax revenue. ठीक है, टैक्स मतलब कौन सा टैक्स, डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्ट दोनों, और सबसे बड़ा टैक्स कौन सा है अभी, जीएसटी, याद रखना, ठीक है. और जब हम एक्सपेंडिचर की बात करते हैं तो द बिगेस्ट वन इज सेंट्रल सेक्टर स्कीम्स. आइटम्स ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर इफ यू सी, तो वो भी आपको एक ट्रेंड बता दिया गया है कि सोशल वेलफेयर, अर्बन डेवलपमेंट, हेल्थ, एजुकेशन, एग्रीकल्चर एंड एलाइड एक्टिविटीज, रूरल डेवलपमेंट, ट्रांसपोर्ट पे इतना ज्यादा अभी खर्च हो रहा है, मोस्टली बिकॉज ऑफ द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पुश. इनकम टैक्स में कुछ रिलीफ मिला है. टैक्स स्लैब्स रिड्यूस टू 5. नाउ दीज आर द 5 स्लैब्स, 1 2 3 4 5, बिकॉज ये तो टैक्स नहीं दे रहे, ठीक है. टैक्स एग्जेम्पशन लिमिट इंक्रीज टू 3 लाख, 0 to 3 नील होता है. अच्छा, आपको पता है जैसे कि अगर समझ लो किसी का 10 लाख है तो उसको कैसे टैक्स लगेगा, फर्स्ट 3 पे नील, उसके बाद नेक्स्ट 3 पे 5, उसके बाद नेक्स्ट 3 पे 10. दिस इज मार्जिनल रेट ऑफ टैक्सेशन, यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. बट 7 लाख तक अगर अब होगा तो फिर उसमें कोई टैक्स नहीं है. मिडिल क्लास के लिए इट्स अ बिग न्यूज. No income tax for persons with income up to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. Standard deduction of 50,000 to salaried people and deduction up to 15,000 for pensioners under new tax regime. Reduction of the highest surcharge rate from 37% to 25% under the new tax regime. Tax exemption limit on leave encashment on retirement of non-government salaried employers increased to 25 lakh. तो ये सब कुछ, हाँ, ये एक एक्सेप्शन है ये. इट इज अप टू, हाँ, मिडिल क्लास के लिए, टू गिव देम इंसेंटिव, ठीक है, सो दैट दे कम अप विद देयर रियल इनकम. कई लोग अपना रियल इनकम बताते नहीं है ना. इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स प्रपोजल्स में आप देखो, ग्रीन मोबिलिटी टू exempt excise duty on GST paid on compressed biogas, electronics to provide relief in customs duty on import of certain parts of mobile phones, to reduce basic customs duty on parts of open cells of TV panels to 2.5. Remember, India has become the second largest market of mobile phone manufacturing. Good. अभी तो एप्पल का भी स्टोर खुल रहा है अभी इंडिया में, वो भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट. To increase basic customs duty on electric kitchen chimney from 7.5% to 15%. अच्छा, एक चीज और है, अब जैसे आपको पता होगा, जैसे आपने IGL का पाइपलाइन वगैरह देखा होगा, अभी भी घर में आपने देखा होगा सिलेंडर्स यूज हो रहे हैं, तो वो सब एलिमिनेट करना चाहते हैं लॉन्ग टर्म में. इट हैज टू बी पाइप्ड कनेक्शन, डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. जैसे पानी का सप्लाई होता है वैसे गैस का भी वैसी सप्लाई होनी चाहिए, और वही सही तरीका भी है. इट इंप्रूव्स एफिशिएंसी. टू रिड्यूस बेसिक कस्टम्स ड्यूटी ऑन चिमनी हीट कॉइल्स फ्रॉम 20% टू 15%. आप ये समझ सकते हो, वो अगर हो जाए तो गैस के अराउंड जो ब्लैक मार्केटिंग है वो कैसे हिट होगी, बिकॉज इट विल बी कंप्लीटली अंडर गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल नाउ. तो गैस सस्ती भी हो जाएगी आपकी. Chemicals and petrochemicals, to exempt basic customs duty on chemicals and petrochemicals, to reduce basic customs duty on acid grade flour, spar and crude glycerine to 2.5%. ये तो बस ऐसे ही डेटा है. Marine products, so lab grown diamonds, precious metals, compounded rubber, cigarettes, इन सब पे indirect tax alter किया गया है. That's it. That is it. बस ये देख लेना. अब इसमें क्या है कि जो स्लाइड आपको मिलेगी उसमें इसके साथ साथ, जैसे हमने वहां पर देखा था कि हर स्लाइड के साथ बहुत सारी रिटर्न चीजें भी थी, तो इसमें भी आपको हर स्लाइड के बाद बहुत सारी रिटर्न चीजें दिखेंगी. पढ़ना है तो पढ़ लेना, नहीं पढ़ना है तो देख लेना बस उसको एक बार, लेकिन ये जरूर देख लेना। और क्वेश्चन जो आएगा that would be from part 1 of the budget, which is the Saptarishi and 3 core things. Got it? So that is it. Here is where we end our economic survey and budget classes. Point is very important, 6 to 7 questions easily you can expect from this section. जो मैंने आपको दिया है और जितना मैंने आपको दिया है बस उतना ही पढ़ो, इससे ज़्यादा पढ़ना है तो पढ़ो। आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि मत पढ़ो, बट अगर नहीं पढ़ पा रहे हो तो बिल्कुल डरने की या टेंशन लेने की या घबराने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज इतना भी कर लोगे तो बहुत है। वी आर आफ्टर ऑल टॉकिंग अबाउट ओनली द प्रिलिमिनरी एग्जामिनेशन, डू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? इनफैक्ट दिस इज ऑल्सो इनफ फॉर मेन्स इफ यू रीड दीज थिंग्स। तो हमने वैसे ही सर्वर बजट कवर किया है दैट यू कैन अपीयर फॉर बोथ द प्रीलिम्स एज वेल एज फॉर द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन। जो स्लाइड्स मैंने आपको दी हैं, if you will club all of them, I think it will be under 100, right? And when you print them, maybe it will be 50 pages. तो 50 पेजेस में बजट सर्वे सब कुछ हो सकता है, बस उतना ही पढ़ के जाओ और उसमें से ही 6-7 क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं। मोस्टली देखना जो स्कीम वाले जो कुछ टेबल्स दिए मैंने आपको, वहां से क्वेश्चन आने के ज़्यादा चांसेस है। या तो फिर जैसे पीएम अन्न, ऐसा कुछ पीएम श्री, गति शक्ति, इस तरीके की कोई चीज़ें हैं वो ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट, या कोई टर्म जैसे हेडविंड्स, इस तरीके का कोई टर्म दैट वी इंट्रोड्यूस इन द क्लास, राइट? सो दैट इज इट। हियर इज वेयर वी विल क्लोज एवरीथिंग। इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट इन इकोनॉमी, जनरल डाउट, यू कैन आस्क, एंड इफ योर डाउट इज लॉन्ग देन यू कैन मीट मी। Okay, no doubts? Very good. Thank you very much then.